For decades, we've been told one simple rule. If you want strong legs, you have to squat. Squats are crowned the king of exercises, and for young, resilient bodies, that may be true. But here's the part that rarely gets discussed. What works at 25 doesn't always serve you at 55 or 65. Strength training after 50 isn't about chasing intensity. It's about protecting joints, improving balance, and building stability where it matters most. The problem isn't that squats are bad. The problem is that they're often treated as the only answer. And when a movement becomes dogma, we stop asking whether it truly fits the body we have today. After 50, your priorities shift. You're not training for athletic performance. You're training for longevity, independence, and pain-free movement. So instead of asking, how low can I squat? Maybe the better question is, what movement best supports my body now? Because strength isn't about tradition, it's about relevance. And when we begin asking what truly supports the body after 50, the conversation must shift toward balance and fall prevention. Because strength is not just about lifting, it's about staying upright. Each year, more than 1 in 4 adults over 65 experiences a fall. That statistic isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to wake us up. Falls are rarely random. They are often the result of declining hip strength, poor lower body control, and weakened stabilizing muscles. This is where the deeper issue emerges. Research consistently shows that weak hip and glute muscles are strongly linked to slower walking speed, poorer balance, and a higher risk of falling. And yet, many traditional leg routines don't directly address these muscles in a focused way. We assume that because we are working our legs, we are protecting ourselves. But not all leg exercises are created equal. After 50, the goal isn't just building muscle mass, it's building control, coordination, and resilience. Because a strong body that cannot stabilize itself is still vulnerable. And if the true priority is independence, then we must train the muscles that quietly keep us steady every single day. And this leads us to an uncomfortable but necessary question. If squats are truly the ultimate leg exercise, why do so many adults over 50 still struggle with back pain, knee discomfort, unstable walking, and poor posture, even after trying to squat regularly? The issue isn't effort, it's direction. Squats are a compound movement, meaning many muscles jump in to help. But when the glutes are weak or inactive, other areas, like the lower back and knees, often take over. Over time, that compensation creates strain instead of strength. So the real question becomes, are you training harder or are you training smarter? If this perspective challenges what you've always believed about leg training, that's a good thing. Growth begins with better questions. If you're over 50 and ready to build strength without unnecessary strain, subscribe for more science-based guidance designed specifically for your stage of life. And leave a comment. Have squats helped you or caused discomfort? Let's learn from each other. And to truly understand why this happens, we need to look at the real engine of the lower body, the glutes. Your glute muscles are not just there for appearance. They are the primary drivers of hip extension, the stabilizers of your pelvis, and the protectors of your spine. Every time you stand up from a chair, climb stairs, or walk uphill, your glutes should be leading the movement. But here's what quietly happens over the years. Prolonged sitting, reduced activity, and aging itself can cause what experts call gluteal inhibition, or gluteal amnesia. In simple terms, your brain loses efficiency in activating these muscles. When that happens, other areas compensate. The lower back tightens, the knees absorb more force, posture gradually shifts forward, and movement becomes less stable. This is why simply performing traditional exercises without intentional glute activation often fails to solve the problem. You may feel fatigued after a workout, but fatigue does not equal proper muscle engagement. After 50, the goal is not just movement, it is targeted activation. Because when your glutes wake up and regain strength, everything above and below them begins to function better. And this is where one of the biggest myths begins to unravel. Most people assume that squats automatically fix weak glutes. After all, they're a lower body exercise, so the glutes must be working, right? Not necessarily. Squats are a compound movement, which means the quads, hamstrings, and lower back all contribute significantly. In younger, well-balanced bodies, that coordination can be effective. But in adults over 50, especially those with knee sensitivity or spinal stiffness, the body often defaults to stronger dominant muscles while the glutes remain underactive. So you finish a set feeling tired, maybe even sore. But soreness doesn't guarantee that the right muscles did the work. And if the glutes aren't fully engaged, the underlying weakness remains unresolved. Over time, this gap between effort and activation can lead to frustration, or worse, discomfort. That's why after 50, precision matters more than tradition. It's not about doing what's popular. It's about doing what truly reactivates the muscles that protect your body. And once we understand that activation matters more than assumption, a powerful realization emerges. Some simpler, more targeted movements can stimulate the glutes more effectively than traditional squats, while placing far less stress on the knees and spine. This isn't about doing less. It's about doing what's precise. Electromyography, EMG studies, which measure muscle activation, reveal something surprising. Certain controlled glute-focused exercises can produce equal or even greater glute engagement compared to squats. The difference is intention. When a movement isolates the hip and minimizes compensation from the quads or lower back, the glutes are forced to truly participate. For adults over 50, this distinction is critical. Joints may be more sensitive, recovery may take longer. So why choose a movement that distributes effort broadly when you can select one that targets exactly what needs rebuilding? Smarter training isn't about intensity. It's about alignment. Aligning the exercise with your body's current needs. When you reduce unnecessary joint strain and increase focused muscle activation, progress becomes sustainable. And sustainability, not exhaustion, is what ultimately preserves strength, stability, and independence over time. And this is exactly why the first exercise we introduce is not flashy, but transformative: the modified step down. At first glance, it looks simple, almost too simple, but don't let that fool you. When performed with control, this movement directly targets the glutes in their lengthened position, where many adults over 50 are weakest. Unlike squats, which divide the workload, the step down demands intentional hip control. It teaches your glutes to stabilize your pelvis, guide your knee, and support your balance with precision. This isn't just strength training. It's balance training. It's joint protection. It's rebuilding trust in your body. Start slowly. Focus on control, not speed. And notice how different it feels when your hips truly engage. If this approach makes sense to you, subscribe for more targeted, joint-friendly training strategies. And leave a comment. Have you ever tried step downs before? Let's build stronger hips together, one controlled rep at a time. And once you begin rebuilding strength in that lengthened position, the next step is equally important: training the glutes where they are strongest, at full contraction. This is where the hip thrust becomes invaluable. If the modified step down teaches control and stability on the way down, the hip thrust teaches power and confidence at the top. But technique matters. This isn't about aggressively lifting your hips and arching your lower back. It's about precision. As you drive through your heels and lift your hips, you gently tuck your chin, keep your ribs down, and perform what's known as a scoop motion, subtly tilting your pelvis under. That small adjustment shifts the workload away from your lower back and directly into the glutes. Why does this matter after 50? Because many adults compensate with spinal extension instead of true hip extension. The hip thrust retrains that pattern. It teaches your glutes to finish the movement strong, stable, and supported. When you combine the stretch-focused control of the step down with the peak contraction power of the hip thrust, you're no longer just exercising. You're rebuilding a balanced, functional lower body, one that supports you confidently in everyday life. And once you understand how these two movements complement each other, the next question becomes, how often should you train? This is where many people over 50 make a critical mistake. They assume more is better. But after 50, progress is built through consistency, not intensity. Your muscles respond best to steady, manageable stimulation, followed by proper recovery. Perform these 2 exercises 2 to 3 times per week. Begin with 3 sets of 8 to 12 controlled repetitions. Move slowly. Focus on alignment. Prioritize quality over weight. If you feel mild soreness, that's a sign of adaptation. But sharp pain or excessive fatigue is not the goal. Remember this principle: stimulate, don't annihilate. Strength after 50 is not about exhausting your body. It's about teaching it. When you train with intention and allow recovery to do its work, your glutes will gradually grow stronger, your posture steadier, and your movement more confident week by week. And while training provides the stimulus, nutrition provides the building blocks. After 50, the body naturally becomes less efficient at preserving muscle, a process known as sarcopenia. This means your effort in the gym must be supported by intention in the kitchen. Without adequate protein, your muscles simply don't have the raw materials they need to repair and grow stronger. Aim for approximately 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily, unless your healthcare provider advises otherwise. Include high-quality sources like eggs, Greek yogurt, tofu, fish, poultry, or legumes. Don't fear carbohydrates either. Whole grains and root vegetables provide the energy your body needs to train and recover. And hydration matters more than most people realize. Water supports circulation, joint health, and nutrient delivery. This isn't about dieting, it's about fueling strength. If this helped you connect the dots between exercise and nutrition, subscribe for more practical, science-based guidance tailored for adults over 50. And leave a comment. How are you currently supporting your muscle health? Let's learn and grow stronger together. And even with the right exercises and proper nutrition, there's one more factor that quietly determines your results: what you do during the other 23 hours of the day. Because no workout can fully compensate for prolonged sitting. Hours at a desk, in a car, or on the couch gradually signal your glutes to switch off. Over time, this leads to what's often called gluteal inhibition, when the muscles simply stop activating efficiently. That's why small daily habits matter more than you think. Stand up every 45 to 60 minutes. Take a short walk after meals. Choose the stairs when possible. These aren't dramatic changes, but they reinforce the neural pathways you're rebuilding in your workouts. Movement is not an event, it's a rhythm. And when your day includes consistent, gentle activation, your glutes stay engaged, your posture remains upright, and your strength becomes something you live in, not just something you practice a few times a week. And as we talk about building strength through intentional movement, it's important to pause and acknowledge something equally essential: safety. Every body carries a different history. Past injuries, joint replacements, chronic pain, metabolic conditions, these are not obstacles, but they are realities that deserve respect. The exercises we've discussed are designed to be joint-friendly and adaptable, but they are not a substitute for personalized medical guidance. If you are managing knee degeneration, spinal disc issues, uncontrolled blood pressure, or recovering from surgery, the smartest step is not to push forward blindly. It's to consult your healthcare provider. A physical therapist or physician can help tailor movements to your specific needs, ensuring that progress supports healing rather than compromising it. True strength is not reckless. It is informed. It balances ambition with awareness. Because the goal is not to prove something in a single session. The goal is sustainable vitality over years. When you train with clarity and respect for your body's signals, you create a foundation that lasts. And longevity, real longevity, is built on decisions made wisely, not impulsively. And when you bring all of this together, targeted exercise, supportive nutrition, daily movement, and intelligent caution, you begin to see the bigger picture. This isn't about replacing squats just to be different. It's about choosing what truly serves your body now. After 50, strength is no longer measured by how much weight you lift. It's measured by how confidently you move, how steadily you walk, and how independently you live. The modified step down and the hip thrust may look simple, but they directly rebuild what most adults quietly lose: glute strength, hip stability, and postural control. And when those return, everything else feels easier. So start small. 2 or 3 sessions this week. Stay consistent. Stay curious. If this perspective changed the way you think about leg training, subscribe for more practical guidance designed specifically for your stage of life. And leave a comment. What's your age, and are you ready to train smarter? Let's move forward stronger, together.